figure out the average. Those of you who did not send it to me, you need to send it to me as soon as possible, okay? So I can get those ready. We did a nice job pulling out the elements. Okay, it was a pretty complex assignment, guys. As you guys understand, like looking at those poems, analyzing poetry, the way I was asking you to do so, and you guys have done a nice job on that so far. Okay, those skills you're going to be using as we start looking at some of the short stories. Okay, and then the last thing, you have book reports due anytime this week. Remember, the end of the quarter is a week from Friday, and that's the last big grade on going on there. So anytime this week, a couple of you have already turned them in, but that's done on your own. You won't have time in class to work on it. And so if you did not take your novel home, if you needed to finish it, you can grab it today and take it home, and then we'll turn them in next week. Okay. All right. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Okay. You
cool.
guys are good.
Yeah. So in this story, you'll see we're going to be talking about some future issues and possibly about kind of the end of the world. So first of all, first things first, considering like the coronavirus officially made it to Utah, I guess. Do you guys kind of know what doomsday means? Like if we talk about something in a doomsday aspect, sort of as the end of the world, anyone know what that means? Go for it, yeah.
Oh, I just kind of.
You kind of know, right? Sort of the idea of there's going to come a day when the world just ends. It might be a sickness, a plague, nuclear bomb, something like that. Everyone knows what AI is, right? You're probably all carrying some on you right now, right? Artificial intelligence. A lot of people think that as the future goes on, like the AI is going to play a huge part in our lives. It already kind of does, right? I'm assuming everybody has a phone. Artificial intelligence is supposed to be making life easier for everybody, right? How do you think the world will end? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Nobody? Yeah? Humans? Yeah, what do you think? How, like, through the environment, or? It kind of seems like we've been pretty destructive. What do you think?
I don't think there's going to be like a specific day where it ends. I think it's going to be a really slow, painful process.
I think you're absolutely right. In fact, Mr. Wynn, what's the poem where it says, the world won't end with a bang, but with a whimper?
Here, I'll pull it up.
Because that's kind of what they're saying in that poem. Yes, go ahead, please.
I think the world is going to end because humans are going to keep pumping radioactive chemicals into nature, and so animals are going to mutate, and then they're going to have an animal uprising against humans because we're
kind of like Planet of the Apes. Like they're going to, yeah. Hey, I'd say at this point anything's possible, but I do agree with you in that I think it's going to take a lot longer than just a day or two.
Yes, Elliot said the one. It's from a short story.
That's right.
But I couldn't remember the name of the short story.
He said the world will end not with a bang,
The
but
Hollow
with
Man.
The Hollow Man. That's right. And I really like that concept because it's sort of, and we'll look. So when we start looking at this PowerPoint, I'm going to explain to you why. It seems like there's kind of there's people who want to see the world end, who are like just convinced it's going to end, and this is not something new. This has been going on since the beginning of time. People have been calling for the end of the world. But let's look at some of the scenarios. Exactly. Y2K was a huge one. I don't know. You guys are probably all way too young to get sure you've heard about how everybody panicked. So some of the famous world-ending scenarios. This one was a really big one too, the Mayan calendar. So the Mayan calendar essentially ended in 2012, and a lot of people thought that was going to be the end, since that was the end of the known calendar. They made a movie about it, a really bad, kind of schlocky, somewhat sci-fi film. The Planet X collision is pretty interesting. Has anyone heard of this? Anyone dare to guess what that was? Go for it. Yeah.
There's like this planet that we didn't know about until like pretty soon.
Yeah, fairly recently.
And then like it's saying that's like going towards that planet or something.
That it was on trajectory to smash with Earth and end life as we know it. Nostradamus had a lot of predictions, and it was weird. Some of them have eerily kind of come true, but then again, they say with predictions that if you make enough broad predictions, it's kind of like going to a fortune teller. If you didn't make enough broad predictions, like some of it's going to come true, just kind of on its own. Y2K, I remember it really well. I'm sort of old. In fact, probably a little bit older than Mr. Wynn. Y2K was a really big thing, and for those of us who remember it, it was like they were convinced that planes were going to fall out of the sky. Has anyone heard like horror stories about Y2K? Like what was going to happen? Basically, they thought all the computers were going to shut down. They thought like it was just going to be this disaster. The bank accounts were going to empty. People were going to the store, kind of like they are right now, buying up water, buying up like all these supplies. And what really happened was, I think a few computers kind of shut down. That was about it, and sort of life went on. It seems like as it usually does. This one is my favorite. Has anyone heard about Hale Bopp or the Heaven's Gate movement? Anybody? Yeah, you have heard about it? So this one is anyone else? You. How you doing it? This one was great. That's crazy. So stop me if I'm wrong, Mr. Wynn. There was a group of people called Heaven's Gate, right? Led by this really weird guy named Marshall Applewhite, and he had convinced was it 100 or a couple hundred people?
Yeah.
They were in this big compound down in San Diego, and he had convinced them all that behind the Hale-Bopp comet there was a spaceship hiding, and when it came through, they were all supposed to die so they could all get on the
They
spaceship.
had to die, they had to time it
Exactly right.
So their spirits would be picked up by the spaceship
Right.
and then taken to paradise.
Take it to
whatever
some
their-
sort of like futuristic, some planet or thing. And so when the news came through, the big thing that they noted was that they were all wearing these really weird black Nikes, right? They all were wearing the same shoes. Anyway, hundreds of people all believed in this. So again, and who knows if maybe they were right. I don't know. Who knows? I guess we can't really prove that one. There we go. Did I skip something or no? We're good. No, we're good. This one I know, Mr. Wynn, you know a little bit more about than I do, but I found this one pretty fascinating. What do you know about this, Mr. Wynn?
Okay, so there's a man who, if you look at this, it was a farm, right? And he had this hen that started laying eggs with messages on them about the end of the world, written on them, and talking about like plague and pestilence and all these terrible things that were going to happen. And he went to the newspaper and said, I have this, this magical hen, and it's making these predictions. And so people started coming to the farm. They wanted to see what was going on. And while they were at the farm, they were buying goods from him, other, eggs without, warning messages on them, milk, vegetables, whatever. And he was selling all these products. And this went on for several months until somebody caught him. Anybody want to guess what he was doing? And shoving them back up inside the hen, because people were watching the hen lay the eggs with the messages on them. But he was shoving them back. I don't know how that works exactly, but he was shoving them back up inside. And it was this brilliant business plan by him. He made a lot of money. The poor hen. But newspapers were picking up this idea. And again, this was a long time ago, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, in that time frame. And so people got all their news from newspapers. And so people were coming to see this thing, and then it turned out it was a hoax, and he was arrested, and all these things.
Probably put in stocks and had some tomatoes thrown
Yeah,
at
it
it.
was. But
Yeah.
people were obsessed with this idea.
Right, and it just goes to show it doesn't matter what time period you're living in. Like I said, I think some people want to bring the end of the world on, and people have been talking about it for a long time. The story that we're going to read, by the way, was written in 1950, which is about 70 years ago. And so one of the things that I want to sort of run by you guys, is that it? Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the Great Flood, and this is in 1524. So this guy predicted that there was going to be this massive flood that was going to destroy everyone and everything, and people went as far actually to build these boats, and people were ready in the boats. He had a specific date, right? And but of course, no earthly flood came. As usual.
But it did start raining that day.
That's right. It started.
Yeah.
It sprinkled a bit, and everyone kind of cringed and panicked just a hair. So, be. Man, this board's a little finicky, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, as we talked about, climate change, it's a big thing. People have been saying for years it's going to be the end of the world. And again, I don't know. I kind of think that could be it could be the end, but it's going to take a long time. What do you guys think about this? An asteroid's going to hit the Earth. How many of you think an asteroid will hit the Earth in your lifetime? Anyone? It'd be disastrous. They say that's how the dinosaurs might have been killed off. And the ascension, the end of the universe. The end of the known universe. Can you even fathom that? Again, a lot of people have made predictions. I don't think really any of them, at least not the end of the world, have come true. So, yeah. I just want to know, real quick, we've already kind of talked about this. So we're pretty set on the fact that the Earth is in trouble with the climate, right? And that's going to could end the world. It's kind of we talked about, yeah. I don't know. How many of you believe in, like, we think that the climate's it's like a serious issue, that climate change is a real thing? Yeah? Yeah. Interesting. All right. I think that is it, right? So let's get to the story. I'm going to start out reading, and I'm going to call in a couple people. Hopefully we can get through this. If you'll notice on the third page, there are some questions that you guys might want to be looking at while we are reading. And I know you're really tired, but how about anyway you wake up and thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's okay. I know it's the time change kind of killed everybody, I think. So I'm going to start this. I might have try to read the first little bit and just be looking at the questions and kind of be thinking about the theme, you guys. This is Ray Bradbury, August 2026. There will come soft rains, based on the poem by Teasdale. Like I said, this was written 7 years ago. In the living room, the voice clock sang, tick-tock, 7 o'clock, time to get up, 7 o'clock, as if it were afraid that nobody would. The morning house lay empty. The clock ticked on, repeating and repeating its sounds into the emptiness. 7-9, breakfast time, 7-9. In the kitchen, the breakfast stove gave a hissing sigh and ejected from its warm interior 8 pieces of perfectly brown toast, 8 eggs sunny side up, 16 slices of bacon, 2 coffees, and 2 cool glasses of milk. Today is August 4th, 2026, said a second voice from the kitchen ceiling, in the city of Allendale, California. It repeated the date and 3 times for memory's sake. Today is Mr. Featherstone's birthday. Today is the anniversary of Toleda's marriage. Insurance is payable, as are the water, the gas, and light bills. So far, like, what's your sense a little bit? I mean, it seems a little bizarre, right? Could anyone kind of guess a little bit, like any hints as to what's going on here? All right, we'll come back to that. We'll put a pin in that for a minute. Haley, you said you would read?
Yeah.
Do you want to go on from there?
Sure.
Somewhere in the walls?
Somewhere in the walls were lace-clipped memory tapes threaded under electric eyes. 8-1, tick-tock, 8-1 o'clock. Off to school, off to work, run, 8-1. But no doors slammed, no carpets took the soft tread of rubber wheels. It was raining outside. The leather box on the front door sang quietly, "Rain, rain, go away, rubber raincoats for today." And the rain tapped on the empty house echoing. Outside, the garage slammed and lifted its doors to reveal the waiting car. After a long wait, the doors swung down again. At 8:30, the eggs were shriveled and the toast was like stone. An aluminum wedge scraped them into the sink, where hot water whirled them down a metal throat which digested and flushed them away to the distant sea. The dirty dishes were dropped into a hot washer and emerged twinkling dry.
Hold there for 1 sec, Haley. So, what do you think's going on? Why is this artificial intelligence scraping the food away?
Because that's just what it was programmed to do.
It was programmed to do that, but no one ate it, right? There's no one there. Okay. Do you want to go on, Haley? Want to read a little bit more?
That's always the food.
Sure.
Thank you.
9:15 sang the clock. Time to food. Out of warnings in the walls, tiny robot eyes started. The rooms were acrawl with the small clinging animals, all rubber and metal. They thudded against chairs, whirling their mustache runners. Netted the rug nap, sucking gently at hidden dust. Then, like mysterious mysterious invaders. They popped into their burrows. Their pink electric eyes faded. The house was clean. 10 o'clock, the sun came out from behind the rain. The house stood alone in a city of rubble and ashes. This was the one house left standing. At night, the ruined city gave off a radioactive glow which could only be seen for miles.
Thanks, Haley. So, what do you take from that? Any ideas about what's happened? Henry, what do you think?
I have no idea.
No idea? Radioactive glow from the city.
All the humans did.
Most likely a nuclear apocalypse, right? Trevor, where are you?
What?
Do you want to read for me from there?
I guess.
Thank you.
10:15, the garden sprinklers whirled up in golden founts, filling the soft morning air with scatterings of brightness. The water-pelted window panes running down the charred west side where the house had been burned evenly free of its white paint. The entire west face of the house was black, save for 5 places. Here the silhouette in paint of a man mowing a lawn. Here, as in a photograph, a woman bent to pick flowers. Still farther over, their images burned on wood. In one titanic instant, a small boy, hands flung into the air, higher up the image of a thrown ball, and opposite him, a girl, hands raised to catch the ball, which never came down. The 5 spots of paint, the man, the woman, the children, the ball, remained. The rest was a thin charcoal glare. The gentle sprinkler rain filled the garden the following night.
Do you want to keep going? Or does anyone else want a little chance to read? Come on, I know we have some bread souls in here. Henry, you want to read it for me?
Okay.
Yeah? Nice, thank you.
Are we all?
Till this day. So, just real quick, before we get started, what does that tell you, the shadows on the wall?
The death shadows.
There was a nuclear blast. Oops.
Here's some real ones.
Yeah, it's crazy. There's a lot from Hiroshima, I think, right? And it's eerie to think about that was the last thing that someone was doing. It's like this person was crouching. It's crazy, right? Thanks for bringing these up, Mr. Wynn. I hadn't even seen these. Yeah, look at that.
One.
It's just crazy. That's how quick that flash, that nuclear heat will just incinerate. So that's what's happened in this story, it sounds like, so far, is that we've got people at this house, basically the only house left standing. And as you're right, so looks like nuclear holocaust. Henry, hit it. What do you say? Until this day.
Until this day, how well the house had kept its peace, how carefully it had inquired. Who goes there? Where's the password? And getting no answer from lonely foxes and whining cats, it had shut up its windows and drawn shades in an old maidenly preoccupation with self-protection, which bordered on a mechanical paranoia. It quivered at each sound the house did. If the sparrow brushed a window, the shade snapped up, the bird startled, flew off. No, not even a bird must touch the house. The house was an altar with 10,000 attendants, big, small, servicing, attending in choirs. But the gods had gone away, and the ritual of the religion continued uselessly. 12 noon. A dog whined shivering on the front porch. The front door recognized the dog voice and opened. The dog, once huge and fleshy, but now gone to bone and covered with sores, moved in and through the house tracking mud. Behind a word angry mice, angry at having to pick up mud, angry at inconvenience. For not a leaf fragment blew under the door, but what the wall panels flipped open, and the copper-scrubbed rats flashed swiftly out. The offending dust, hair, or paper seized in miniature steel jaws was raced back to the burrows. There, down tubes was fed into the cellar. It was dropped into the sighing vent of an incinerator, which sat like an evil ball in a dark corner. The dog ran up the stairs, hysterically yelping to each door, at last realizing, as the house realized, that only silence was here. They sniffed the air and scratched at the kitchen door. Behind the door, the stove was making pancakes, which filled the house with a rich, baked odor and the scent of maple syrup. The dog frothed at the mouth, lying at the door, sniffing. It turned into fire. Its eyes turned to fire. It ran wildly in circles. Biting at its tail, spun into frenzy, and died. It lay in the parlor for an hour. 2 o'clock, sang the voice. Delicately sensing decay at last, the regiments of mice hummed out as softly as blown gray leaves in an electrical wind. 2:15.
Let's stop there for just 1 second. So, just the dogs live. What do you think these mice are?
Cleaners.
Right? Kind of like little like a Roomba, like a little like kind of cleaner mice. It's interesting that they had the dog live. I'm wondering how this dog survived the nuclear holocaust.
I mean, it didn't survive for long.
Again, I know, right? Again, I think it's really important to remember while reading this that this was 1950. We had just started testing with nuclear. We had already dropped a couple nuclear bombs at that point. So, anyone else want to give it a go? Any takers? No? Mr. Wynn, would you like to read for a minute? Thank you.
Yeah,
We're at.
I'm taking notes. So,
Oh, you're taking notes?
yeah, I'm gonna give you some feedback.
All right. Then I'll.
No, I can read. Tell me where you're at. Because
2:15.
yeah, the dog was gone. That one, right?
Yes.
2:15. The dog was gone. In the cellar, the incinerator glowed suddenly, and a whirl of sparks leaped up the chimney. 2:35. Bridge tables sprouted from patio walls. Playing cards fluttered onto pads in a shower of pip. Martinis manifested on an oaken bench with egg salad sandwiches. Music played. But the tables were silent and the cards untouched. At 4 o'clock, the tables folded like great butterflies back through the paneled walls. 4:30. The nursery walls glowed. Animals took shape: yellow giraffes, blue lions, pink antelopes, lilac panthers cavorting in crystal substance. The walls were glass. They looked out upon color and fantasy. Hidden films jogged through well-oiled sprockets, and the walls lived. The nursery floor was woven to resemble a crisp cereal meadow. Over this ran aluminum roaches and iron crickets, and in the hot, still air, butterflies of delicate red tissue wavered among the sharp aroma of animal spores. There was the sound like a great matted yellow hive of bees within a dark bellows, the lazy bumble of a purring lion, and there was the patter of okapi feet and the murmur of fresh jungle rain like other hoofs falling upon the summer starch grass. Now the walls dissolved into distances of parched weed, mile on mile, and warm endless sky. The animals drew away into the thorn brakes and water holes. It was the children's hour.
Good. Definitely a couple of literary devices in that paragraph. Does anyone recognize some of them? We have a little, I think we've got some personification going on there, like with the murmur of the trees. There's some alliteration in here, but I think Bradbury really uses the language well to describe the scene. I will continue, and then hopefully someone else will want to give it a go for a minute. So 5 o'clock, the bath filled with clear hot water. 6, 7, 8 o'clock, the dinner dish has been manipulated like magic tricks, and in the study, a click. In the metal stand opposite the hearth, where a fire now blazed up warmly, a cigar popped out, half an inch of soft gray ash on it, smoking, waiting. 9 o'clock, the beds warmed, their hidden circuits for the nights were cool here. Let's see, 9:05, a voice spoke from the study in the ceiling. Miss McKellen, which poem would you like this evening? The house was silent. The voice said at last, since you express no preference, I shall select a poem at random. Quiet music rose to back the voice. Sarah Teasdale, as I recall, your favorite. And this is the Teasdale poem that, which we also have available in the back as a handout. There will come soft rains and smell of ground, and swallows circling with their shimmering sound, and frogs in the pool singing at night, and wild plum trees in tremulous white. Robins will wear their feathery fire, whistling their whims on a low fence wire. And no one will know of the war, not one will care at last when it's done. Not one would mind, neither bird nor tree, if mankind perished utterly. And spring herself, when she woke at dawn, would scarcely know that we were gone. So I'm curious, what do you think that Teasdale means in this poem? What's she trying to say? Any takers? What do you think? Trevor, what do you think?
Mother Nature doesn't need humans, and we're probably just making her job harder. Actually, not probably, we are.
The world will just kind of go on without us, right?
Yes.
I think that's kind of what Teasdale's saying. We've been such a blink in existence as far as the Earth has been around that the world will hardly even notice that we're gone. Haley, do you want to read a little bit more? Is there anyone else? Oh man, somebody else that's got a comment want to read. Come on. Anyone? Any takers? help a guy out. Now, we'll go back to Trevor. Trevor reads really well, so go for it, Trevor.
Oh, you good reader.
The fire burned.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
The fire burned on the stone hearth and the cigar fell away into a mound of quiet ash on its tray. The empty chairs faced each other between the silent walls and the music played. At 10 o'clock, the house began to die. The wind blew, a failing tree bough crashed through the kitchen window, cleaning solvent bottles shattered over the stove. The room was ablaze in an instant. Fire! Screamed a voice. The house lights flashed, water pumps shot water from the ceilings, but the solvent spread on the linoleum. Jeez. Licking, eating under the kitchen floor while the voices took it up in chorus. Fire! 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 The house tried to save itself. Doors sprang tightly shut, but the windows were broken by the heat and the wind blew and sucked upon the fire. The house gave ground as the fire and 10 billion angry sparks moved with flaming ease from room to room and then up the stairs. While scurrying water rats squeaked from the walls, pistoled their water and ran for more, and the wall sprays let down showers of mechanical rain. Will you stop hitting my leg?
I'm
Nick?
not doing anything.
But too late. Somewhere sighing the pumps shrugged to a stop. The quenching rain ceased. The reserved water supply, which had filled vats and washed dishes for many quiet days, was gone. The fire crackled up the stairs. It fed upon Picassos and Matisses in the upper halls like
Matisse, it's Matisse, who was also a painter.
Oh,
Those are two painters.
yeah,
So
I
I
know.
assume I can only assume that they were duplicates of paintings.
Like delicacies, baking off the oily flesh, tenderly crisping the canvases into black shavings. Now the fire lay in beds, stood in windows, changed the colors of drapes. And then reinforcements. From attic trapdoors, blind robot faces peered down the faucet mouths, gushing green chemical. The fire backed off as even an elephant must at the sight of a dead snake. Now there were 20 snakes whipping over the floor, killing the fire with a clear cold venom of green froth. But the fire was clever. It had sent flames outside the house, up through the attic to the pumps there. An explosion. The attic brain which directed the pumps was shattered into bronze shrapnel on the beams. The fire rushed back into every closet and fell on the clothes hung there. The house shuddered, oak bone on bone, it bared skeleton cringing from the heat. Its wire, its nerves, revealed as if a surgeon had torn the skin off to let the red veins and capillaries quiver in the scalded air. Help! Help! Fire! Run! Run! Heat snapped mirrors and the brittle winter ice, and the voices wailed, Fire! Fire! Run! Run! Like a tragic nursery rhyme. A dozen voices, high, low, like children dying in a forest alone, and the voices fading as the wires popped their sheathings like hot chestnut. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 voices died. In the nursery, the jungle burned. Blue lions roared. Purple giraffes bounded off. The panthers ran in circles, hanging color, and 10 million animals running before the fire vanished off toward a distant steaming river. 10 more voices died. In the last instant, under the fire avalanche, other choruses, oblivious, could be heard announcing the time, playing music, cutting the lawn by remote control mower, or setting an umbrella frantically out, and in the slamming and opening front door, 1,000 things happening, like a clock shop when each clock strikes hour insanely before or after the other. A scene of maniac confusion, yet unity. Singing, screaming, a few last cleaning mice darted bravely out to carry the horrid ashes away, and one voice with sublime disregard for the situation read poetry aloud in the fiery study, until all the film spools burned, until all the wires withered and the circuits cracked. The fire burst the house and let it slam down, puffing out spurts of spark and smoke. In the kitchen, an instant before the rain of fire and timber, the stove could be seen making breakfast at a psychopathic rate. 10 dozen eggs, 6 loaves of toast, 20 dozen bacon strips, which eaten by the fire started the stove working again, hysterically hissing. The crash, the attic smashing into kitchen and parlor, the parlor into cellar, cellar into subcellar, deep freeze, armchair film tape, circuits beds, and all like skeletons thrown in a cluttered mound deep under. Smoke and silence, a great quantity of smoke. Dawn showed faintly in the east, among the ruins. One wall stood alone. Within the wall, a last voice said, over and over and over again, even as the sun rose to shine upon the heap, rubble, and steam. Today is August 5th, 2026. Today is August 5th, 2026. Today is...
Very good, thank you, Trevor, and very nicely read, by the way. I think you really brought a lot of life to the poem. So, we can assume that that was pretty much the end of what might have been the last house on Earth, but the AI was still going all the way to the end, which I think Bradbury's trying to tell us maybe that technology might live beyond us, right? Who can tell me what you think the theme of this? What's the theme of this story? What's Bradbury saying here? Anyone? Any ideas?
Beware nuclear warfare.
It's definitely a cautionary tale, right? Henry, what do you think the theme is?
Well, it's just another apocalypse story, so.
So,
Yeah.
what do you think, Eva? Theme?
What?
Theme? Yes, you. What do you think the theme is? Sort of the end of the world? Like, I think it's really nice for a story that's basically talking about the end of the world. I think it's really beautifully written. I think he uses amazing descriptions to talk about the end of the world. And also the way that technology interacts with this Holocaust and with this fire and so on and so forth. Let's pull out on the third page. You got questions. And these, like I said, are going to be due on Friday. They're not too bad. I'll probably not have you guys do we might do the paragraph questions. Did we decide on that?
Yeah, I took off
The essay, that's right. So these are going to be due on Friday, and I would like you guys to work in groups, trying to maybe answer some of them today. We'll also have a little time on Wednesday. If you guys want to work in groups, I will come around and try to give you as much of my insight as I can. If you have questions. How many of you liked this story? Yeah, kind of? How many of you hated this story? How many of you are ambivalent about this story? Like, didn't care? I think Bradbury's a really great writer. I read a lot of him. So I do want to give you guys time right now to work on these questions if you want to use it wisely and work on questions. That means, like, no messing around, that kind of thing, right?
I would never do that.
You would never do that, right? So would you like some time to work on this and have me come around and help you a little bit? That way you guys don't have to make it homework, right? Let's work on it and get it done. And you're free to consult with your neighbors. Let's keep it to kind of a dull roll, please. Come around.
I didn't realize that you were just gonna stop me. Could you stop? And I was
I should sell myself
Once you get into you need to give me your house and poetry power for our house.
If I don't have big brother cases.
Right, yeah, I know.
That cockroach
I think I have my son
can
at.
survive.
Okay, you have that, so I can grab that.
So yeah, see if you can
I don't think my son at one.
come up with.
It's like
I threw my phone in. The one we did when we were on the phone.
I know, but we as humans think that
Do you guys wanna read one?
I really don't think so either. The way that the way we treat the earth and the way we treat each other.
I'm not sure if I have it or not in here.
What do you guys think of the right? Cool that he was.
You're dumber than me.
Like they knew there was explosions and the ashes from the explosion they're catching on their jobs.
Oh my god.
Exploded. Or not, they didn't explode. Well, it was tiny.
What did you guys think of the story?
They couldn't really see it.
Did you like it? Right? What do you think about AI?
Maybe, yeah. Like, actually, probably.
Oh, really?
Like Emerald Tree.
How are we doing?
I think so.
What if we invented?
Mr. Henry.
Michael has his house too.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, in fifth grade.
Oh, okay.
They added
Yes, with Mr. Wynn?
because they added a chemical
Nice.
that I
Almost everyone else can take these things.
I know. That's crazy.
that was like turning their skin.
Too bad. What about like Nick and Nicholas?
No.
Nick the Voice?
They were like
And who else is in there? Let's see, Jonah. Jonah's the East, isn't he?
Actually, I don't know. That's funny because we started Nick, he was like the first two people up there.
they were wondering.
And let's see, Annika,
At
she went to us.
they
And,
would have X-ray machines.
and then I've seen
where
Sierra
you can
and
put your foot, like, put a machine
Celia.
in your foot next to
Sierra and
you can
Celia.
see how it would fit.
What'd you guys think of the story? Did you like it?
They use,
You did a great job reading it. Like I said, like I think you really brought like an energy and life to it. Are you like you do theater and stuff like that? I'm just saying, like you got a really good reading and speaking voice.
You should have picked on him though.
I know. Why didn't you raise your hand for me? Have you? You can tell. It definitely shows, and I appreciate like for a 70-year-old story. I think it sounds like it could have been written yesterday to me. It's pretty impressive. Did you guys like the story?
Yeah,
Did you like it? It's a little bit depressing, but he kind of makes it sound nice words. Do you think our artificial intelligence will right?
Why are you number 7?
There's so many movies that have been made about it. What do you think of the other questions? They're not too hard, right? You should be okay with it. Any questions? Are you guys doing okay?
Yeah.
Just working it out?
One of the mice that really February patients out of
Are you doing okay with those questions?
They're like,
Oh, the shame of phone. My first phone victim of the day.
yeah. They're those little circles that they're kind of
It's a little
Yeah.
Oh, they cover the ballistic responsibility.
Well, I have them.
I know they are. Dude, there's
I
like
didn't realize.
9 siblings and one of them is
So guys, this is gonna be, these questions will be due at the end of class on Wednesday. So in a few minutes, after you guys have worked a little more, we're gonna go over some of them, and I will give you some of my insights. So take like another 5-10 minutes and work on these, but know that they're due at the end of class on Wednesday. We will go over them together.
Yes.
Definitely some personification, definitely some metaphor.
got him.
Dark Ages the Black Plague, all millions of people died. That's why rats have a pretty bad reputation.
But they're called dead shadows.
August 5th. Oh yeah, but it said it was working multiple days. At the dog day. Because the dog was incredibly starving.
Staying up playing video games?
He's always asleep. So I probably was starving for about integrated.
Or just build a really deep
What happens if the toilet is used in the house between that's personification?
Sure, radiation would be.
Who wants to join my...
How does this come to slash purpose of the story? Well, there are no humans.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like Didn't like she start saying weird stuff. She like that they're gonna kill us.
Yeah, she was saying like,
Yeah. That makes sense?
So when
No, if someone asked if she wanted to kill all humans, she was like, no, I will not kill all humans. People took the clip out of context.
How we doing?
as objects, they're gonna take pictures. There also concept that since there are no more humans,
I saw something instead of a bear, they had this like robot, like something that could actually talk to them, and they had a piano keyboard thing. They press it, and it would have artificial vocal cords, and I heard the sound of it, and it was so creepy. And they got to say like they killed
We're gonna play that song when you guys were coming in.
really
See if
robotic.
anyone recognizes it.
Yeah, like an actual like piano keyboard. Well, no, they would have to play it, and it would talk. Because this was at World Fair. This said World Fair is like 19.
I mean, once you
It's like around that time.
Yeah, I didn't talk say like the two words our entire time.
Yeah, it doesn't really
I'm feeling over here, guys.
Maybe the dog had a house that was like a pumpkin.
Working away?
It's starting to fall because the house we went out to was 10,000.
You know, this is
Oh, surfacing is 10,000. But the gods are the ritual, the religion continues to useless. You are the gods.
Right, I'm gonna figure it out.
What is the religion?
Take a couple more minutes, guys. We're gonna go over a few. We're gonna go over the first few of these together. So hopefully everybody's got the first page done, or as close to it, right?
Since they're gone, there is no.
We'll go over some of these.
So
over
who
here.
are the gods?
What you have to say.
What is the religion?
They're electric.
Yeah, just made off.
Why does Bradbury call the religion senseless and useless?
Yeah, so like the reason that you get silhouette on the wall is that when a nuclear reaction comes through, it burns up everything in its path. And so if we're standing like right near something like a wall like this, it would incinerate you, and then those are the pieces of you would basically hit the wall like a shadow, like a shadow of a path.
Slow down.
What's
Your
that?
brain processes everything
Because
incredibly
it's
fast.
such a quick flash.
So if it's like a second, it could be like a minute.
What does Ray Bradbury think about technology? Based on this,
It's like one flash of light, and that's it. Basically, to see very little circumstance. If it goes out, at least, say it's the city, say it was in Salt Lake, if the nuclear bomb went off downtown within probably about 3 seconds, we'd all be we want to avoid, yeah. All right, guys, let's go over some of these questions together, shall we? Has everybody got the first page done? No? Still kind of working? All right, well, try to get that done so that you don't have too much to do and then we can finish this up on Wednesday. So, I'm gonna call on people whether you like it or not. We're gonna see who's got what done. So, question number 1, you guys. What is the author's purpose for writing this short story? Do I have any volunteers? I know some of you know who I've talked to already. What do you think? No?
No.
I know someone at this table told me, yes, we talked about it.
It kind of seems like he's just projecting his like thoughts and like kind of worries and fears about like the future for artificial intelligence.
Projecting his thoughts and fears and worries about the future of AI. Absolutely. As we talked about, AI, doomsday. I think that is a perfectly good answer. Any other sort of thoughts, ideas? I saw a bunch of people wrote some things. Henry, what do you think?
What question?
Number 1. What's the purpose?
I think it warns that eventually the end will come and the exact date doesn't really matter.
Also a very good answer.
Yeah.
And that's true. We have no idea when it could be. Trevor, what do you think?
He's also this part is kind of not the main idea, I think, but he's also kind of warning us about nuclear attacks and stuff.
Absolutely. Cautionary tale, right? All right, number 1. So I think we get the idea, right? End of the world, cautionary tale, sort of the theme here. What about number 2? Why are there no humans in this story? What do you think over here? What do you think? Why?
Because it's a nuclear war.
Listen up, guys. We're filling in the blanks here.
Because it's a nuclear war and like wiped everyone out.
Nuclear war and everybody was wiped out. Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
There are no more humans left, only artificial intelligence. Does everybody kind of get the idea on that? What are the mice that Bradbury mentioned? I know you guys were talking about it over here. Someone have a good answer for me? Absolutely. like sort of little mini cleaning, like what we think of as like a Roomba or something like that, right?
I tried to go on
Good. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? I like that he uses like animals, these little animals that come out, and then there were the rats that came out to try to put out the fire. What are the silhouettes that Bradbury mentions? What are they? You don't know? The silhouettes against the wall? No. Guys, what were the, no, but in a way, the nuclear blast created its own art. How did it do so? What are the silhouettes?
dead people shadows.
So there are the remnants of where people were standing against the wall, right? Like we saw in Hiroshima, pictures of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Good. What element, listen up please, thank you. What element of rhetoric is the house began to die? Does a house actually die?
No.
No. So it is.
Personification.
Very good. Personification. We're giving human qualities to a non-living thing, which really happens a lot in this story. They're all given sort of human qualities. There's a ton of personification as a literary device in this story. Good. How does this element connect to the meaning or purpose of the story of the house beginning to die? How does that phrase connect really to the main theme? What do you think? Because the house is dying, and remember, it is the last house, right? It's the last house in this entire, like there's a radioactive glow, there's nothing left of the city, it's the last house. So, who was I talking to? Which table? It's basically means what? The end, sort of the end of everything. But what's the last line in the poem? Last line is still being given by the house, right? So is the house really dead? If the AI is still alive?
No.
Do you think the AI lives beyond this story?
Yes.
And maybe starts its own new society?
No.
Of like, just completely automated?
No, I think that wall is just going to keep saying the date until
It cut off though.
Did it cut off?
Was that it? That it like dying?
But did it? Is the question. Let's see, let's read, let's look at the very last. You know, it's just got ellipses at the end, so it doesn't really say whether or not the world or the AI
I think
stopped.
if that AI did live on, it wouldn't be smart enough to create its own new society. I think it would just keep saying the date forever and ever.
But what about an AI that can learn and adapt? Don't we? I mean, we carry our phones around and they learn and adapt stuff about us every time we click on something, right? They create algorithms every time you click on anything.
Yes.
Maybe this AI wasn't that sophisticated. No, is a possibility. All right, front page still. Listen up, please. Examine the following passage. The house was an altar with 10,000 attendants, big, small, servicing, attending in choirs, but the gods had gone away and the rituals of the religion continued senselessly and uselessly. Who are the gods?
People that lived in the house.
People that lived in the house. So the AI looked at those people as gods, right? I mean, that's kind of that seems what's being inferred here, right? Even though they're gone and the AI lives on. What is the religion? This is a good one. Trevor, what do you think?
Their daily routine.
Right? And so what do you think, from everything that we heard in the story, all the different things that the AI did, what can we infer that was really the main thing about that house? One of the main qualities, or it sounds like maybe the main qualities of human existence at that time. All these things, it kept on doing all these things for them. And maybe the bigger question is, why do we have, why do we have self-cleaning robots that do the floor and things like that? It's convenience. It's convenience, right? So I kind of think that Bradbury is saying that he's sort of calling out a bit of laziness and saying that the religion is convenience. And do we not already sort of live in that world, guys? Henry, don't you think?
What?
We live in this kind of already very convenient world where everything is like Nobody has any patience for anything anymore. Everything's very convenient.
Yeah.
Maybe overly convenient. And maybe that's what brought about the nuclear holocaust, right? All right, so one last question on the front page, and I'll call it for the day. You guys can keep working on this a little bit. Why does Bradbury call the religion senseless and useless? I pretty much kind of just answered this a little bit, but I want to hear what other people have to say. Why does Bradbury call this religion useless? The religion of convenience. Any takers? Anyone? I know this table has something to say. What do you think, guys? Why does he call this religion useless?
Because maybe he doesn't see it as something that he doesn't use himself as like a daily activity.
And I think he is. Go, please, yeah.
Like all ended anyway, like didn't mean anything.
Right. It's sort of like the whole thing becomes pointless after humans killed themselves off anyway, right? And I think that we can sort of agree, as I was just saying here to Henry, that maybe things have become a little too convenient and people have lost patience. I know anytime my phone doesn't like immediately bring up the app I want or something, I'm like, what's going on? It's like, it's sending something to outer space and then or whatever and then coming back to you. So I think we've all become a little bit impatient. And I think Bradbury actually sort of recognized this trend starting in 1950. That's pretty nuts. That was 70 years ago, and he can see that. So please continue to work on these until the bell. I think we've got seems like we've got about 3 minutes. Let's check the time here. We've got about 5 minutes. So please keep working on these guys. They will be due on when?
Wednesday.
Wednesday, when Wednesday? Before or after class? We're going to work on them in class, right? I'm trying to be magnanimous and give you plenty of time to finish these. We'll work through them together. We'll be as one. It'll be wonderful. He was all right.
Alright guys, as you're finishing up, book reports this week. How many of you need a copy of the instructions for the book report? If you do, grab your phone, this way you won't lose it, and take a picture of it.
You guys hear Mr. Wynn's instructions?
Take a picture of it and give me instructions.
You guys get all the way to the first page, on to the second, and across. How's life? How's personal life treating you?
They were working.
All right? It's better now. Sophomore year is better. Junior year is senior year. Yeah, you're ready to go. Boring? Her name was boring? Try to emulate Mr. Wynn a little bit, bring some, a little pizzazz to the table. Ask Henry if he liked the class that I taught last year.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's even more scary.
Yeah, why don't you guys do first?
But it's called the coronavirus.
I saw this is that 23% of Americans are out of school.
Yeah. I just remember
Would
for me, it
anyone
was like
$5
survival.
for a mask?
I was just trying to survive the year. I went to
Corona mask for $5? I could sell like
Yeah.
in the street.
Well, the seniors back in the day they had a lot of rules.
Corona or not, buy my mask.
Like really bad. They put you in garbage cans. Like they shaved our heads.
That's what happened at Eve's.
Yeah, I know. It's still a tradition. And it's amazing. You guys find it scary? Thank you for your participation. I'll be back on Wednesday.
I have a question. Is that like everything we're doing?
Thank you for your participation, guys. Appreciate it, and thanks for reading. Sure, so you have a great, but you're good. You have a great shitty right now. Sorry, but you can read well. Do you do like theater? No. Nice. I skated all the way through. Back in the day, we had like little boards that had like a tail. Like, and I saw like jet boats with like little ribs on it. But it was back today with like Tony Hawk. Like, started doing all this crazy stuff. I used to wreck and never wore pads. You were doing longboard stuff. That's crazy. Like you guys get going like. Nice. You guys are good. 4 a.m. I'm gonna go do find some weird street in the avenue over there. I know it's bomb. Just got waiting for the gas. And there's videos. I know I had like 2 years I was scout blood. Then I got into mountain biking and then scabs and blood. Well, at least they were healthy. Well, thanks for your participation. I really appreciate it.
It did come out of nowhere, though. So, come here. Look at it. I'm giving the camera a show. Serenade. This thing's recording.
Thanks, guys. See you Monday. Have a good day.
Let's do it. Huh?
Yeah, we'll go elsewhere. I'm going to talk to her for a little bit. Yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, I'll be here early Wednesday.
Okay. You feel like it went okay?
Yep. There are a few things I have to do.
Okay. We'll talk on Wednesday about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
All right, let's go. You too. Goodbye. Dude, I was scared for my legs.
Oh, I got it.
No, when you got to
I was supposed to go to New York.